Welcome to Phuket Today. This week we're at the Plaza Seren, where we'll be meeting one of the island's leading art aficionados, Eric Smolders. We'll get back to that. Later in the show we'll be cooking on the beach and strolling through Phuket Town's indie market. But first, this.
I've always had two loves. One love is women and the other one is art. My business now is art. I've always loved art. My father had a great collection of Dutch 17th century artists from the golden age of the Netherlands. I still have quite a few in storage, and I've always collected art. And I buy what I like. So if you ever have a chance to come to the Soul of Asia in Phuket, you can see artists from all kinds of periods, all kinds of styles, and all kinds of times. I came to Thailand really to come and fish and scuba dive. I still do that. I have a boat. I go to the Simon Islands and to Burma once or twice a year to dive and to fish. And then I saw a wonderful life here on this island. I built a house. I met a wonderful Thai lady, and I started the Soul of Asia in Phuket, which now is more than 10 years old. And I think we are the only gallery in Thailand which brings a large collection of international art, including young Thai artists whom I want to promote. This is one of my favorite Thai sculptures called Chanasai, and he is a young sculptor who lives in Bangkok, and I discovered him last year at the Bangkok Art Fair. He has these wonderful figures of women. They are voluptuous. They remind maybe of Botero, the famous South American painter, whose paintings goes for millions of dollars. And maybe Henry Moore. Henry Moore has this kind of lying women, beautiful and lined, but full women, real mothers of the earth. And I think he depicts that very well. A very blossoming young art in Thailand. Young artists from the great art schools in Bangkok. They have regular expositions. I buy a lot from them because I like them. They're new, they're young, they're fresh. The art sales scene itself has changed tremendously over the last few years because art has gone internet as well. Before you needed a huge gallery or two galleries to show all your art. Now I have my art on internet, and I sell maybe now 30 or 40% of my art is sold on internet. These are two of my nicest examples of wonderful modern Thai art. Thai artists, there are not too many who produce wonderful paintings because the painting culture in Thailand was never as developed as it has been, for example, in countries like Vietnam under the French or in China. But these two are by Attasit Potpong, and Attasit brings the essence of the woman out in a very wonderful way. An innocent woman, but still beautiful and sensual by the red lips. I come here to one of my most favorite pieces by Zhao Jiagang, who is one of the top Chinese artists in modern art. This one was painted by him as a child when he was in a labor camp in northern China under the Cultural Revolution. And it's called the Bloodline series. And the idea is that all the Chinese who have been in the Cultural Revolution are marked by a red mark, the blood mark, and are connected with a line to all the other Chinese who also were victims of the Cultural Revolution. Okay, here we come to typical examples of Vietnamese and Burmese art. The Vietnamese and the Burmese still paint a little bit in the style of the schools from the 1920s to the 1950s in Europe. They lack modernism, but they have a tremendous romanticism about it. The ballet dancers there are kind of moving and dancing in the air. There's a tremendous amount of elegance with the figures, the way they dance. Here we see Binh, a Vietnamese, one of the most popular ones, again sold in many places all over the world. And Binh depicts his women in kind of in bao dai, in the Vietnamese national dress, but always with a Zen-like feeling. They give a lot of rest. They give a lot of innocence and beauty by distributing the flower. He very often uses the flower as a symbol of the womanhood. Here we come to one of the most famous artists of all times and who can be compared to Picasso or Chagall, and it is Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol's brilliance was that he would take an image of a person, this is Chairman Mao, and then literally colored it, but changed the picture in such a way that it would bring out the typical characteristics of that person. And here you see very clearly a very sensuous man depicted by his lips, a very smart man because he has this wonderful, very smart look. If you know you do business with him, you lose money. And also a very cruel man, which is depicted by his lips and by his eyes and the way he looks. And finally we come to my most favorite artist, I think an artist who died about 25 years ago, Salvador Dali. I think you can recognize him already from the shapes. He became world famous by depicting time as something that shrinks, and in the end there's nothing anymore, because every life has an end. And then he depicted the space Venus, the beautiful woman, who also is marked like every woman and every man by the passage of time, and with time beauty flies away. I think the changes I have seen here in Phuket, it has become a little bit more international. I have many friends, Thai friends and international friends, and with the increasing development of Phuket, you get more and more interesting people, and it is a wonderful way to meet people through art, because I always have something to talk about. I promote Phuket to everybody I meet, for the simple reason that it is probably one of the best places in the world to retire. It is a wonderful climate all year round. We don't have typhoons. We have fantastic diving and fishing waters all around Phuket, and absolutely wonderful people with whom it is great to live and to work. And I have a wonderful lady with whom I live and with whom I am very happy.